tonight on the education of Max Bickford.
Stop Dumont, make your opinions count!
Doyle Dumont is coming to this campus, bringing an arch-conservative to raise hell.
This battle isn't over. Say no!
Are you shutting down the administration building?
I look at Nell and I see you.
She's a real Bickford, isn't she?
She seems so fierce and determined.
Well, now you know what it's like to deal with you.
Hey, Walt. What did you do to your chin?
Oh, I got tired of looking like Al Gore. How's the diet going?
Not as tough as I thought it would be.
Is it just chili dogs, or do you occasionally have to choke down something green?
Going off my diet gives it meaning. Next week, I'll be completely virtuous.
Oh, a word to the wise. You may want to queue up early for tickets for the Doyle Dumont lecture at Fernley Hall. I understand the tickets are going like chili dogs.
Doyle Dumont is coming to this campus? What's the matter? All the other carnival sideshow barkers booked?
It's about time the Young Conservative Club had a voice on campus. They're beginning to feel like lepers abandoned on a lonely island.
They have a voice. They have a meeting room. Every student is free to join. They have you as a sponsor, bringing an arch-conservative to the campus to raise hell.
True, he is an arch-conservative, but face it, Max, until now, there's been an endless, dreary, liberal monologue about everything that's wrong with this great country. Daniel Ellsberg spoke
And
here.
Doyle Dumont is the best that you could throw into the fray?
I think you'll be very surprised at the number of students who find themselves agreeing with Mr. Dumont once they hear what he has to say. Let me know if you need help getting tickets.
Thanks. It's nice to know I have friends in high places.
Stop abortion now! Stop abortion now!
Don't kill your unborn baby! Stop abortion now! Stop abortion now! Equal rights
Say no to abortion!
I just went in to get information from Planned
You do
Parenthood.
this to your own baby.
Baby killer!
How can you do this to people?
How can you kill your own baby?
I'm not. I just went in to get information about birth control. What's wrong with you? Get out of my way. Like this?
Yeah, hold tight. It shouldn't come to this, but if it does, we better be prepared. And if anyone tries to pass through, do that.
What are you doing? Trying out for the spring musical?
Hey, Dad. Gwen is teaching us the techniques of a nonviolent protest.
What are you protesting? The swimming requirement?
You should get out more. Doyle Dumont is coming to campus.
Yeah. So?
So we want to make it clear that fascists aren't welcome at Chadwick.
Fascist. Now there's a term that's so wildly overused it's lost all meaning. You know that Lester once called me a fascist because I leaned on him about his math homework?
Dad, you are a fascist about homework.
The point is, this guy Dumont is a hate monger. He's showing up on our campus with poison. We've got every right to stop him.
Doyle Dumont is working within the system. If you don't agree with him, fine. If he's that odious, then he'll sink himself. Just let him talk.
Why does this sound just totally bogus coming from you?
What does that mean?
You always talk about how you shouted down Robert McNamara.
I did not shout down Robert McNamara. I demanded that he answer my questions. Loudly. Anyway, there was a war on.
You know, Professor Bickford, many people, including the president, feel that we're at war right now. So, by your logic, what we're doing is actually okay.
Oh, whiplash. All right, let's come back to where we're all making sense. We're talking about two completely different things.
Actually, we're not. It just seems that you're trying to justify protest and shouting people down in your own experience, but not in ours.
You are trying to deny the man his right to talk.
Yes, we are. So please excuse us. It's getting late, and we still haven't covered Mace yet. Okay, ladies? First
I just want you to think about what you're doing.
You know exactly what we're doing, and by tomorrow, so will the entire campus. And there's not a thing you can do to stop us.
I'm very flattered your dad asked me to help you with your social studies project.
What made you decide to become a secretary?
Well, I wanted to be the Grand Duchess of Bulgaria, but the slot was filled. Don't write that down.
Why not? It's funny. By the way, that's a very nice sweater you're wearing.
Oh, why thank you, Lester. I guess I became a secretary because my dad got me a job one summer after high school, answering phones and taking orders in his friend's hardware store. I was good at it, and I stuck with it. Know what I wanted to be when I was a little girl?
What?
A farmer.
Really?
I'm serious. I grew up in Iowa, and I couldn't think of a better life than being out on a farm in the sunshine all day with all those wonderful animals.
You didn't get to be a farmer?
There wasn't enough money to put 3 kids through college, and my dad decided that my eldest brother should go to agriculture school, not me.
Are you mad at your dad for choosing your brother instead of you?
Sometimes I am. But I wouldn't have gotten to work here if things had been different. I wouldn't have met all these great people I work with.
Nell.
I gotta fly, Dad. It's all right.
Wait a second. Where are you going in such a hurry?
I make a point of getting to my classes on time, which you've mentioned to me like 8 billion times.
Your next class isn't until 10:30.
Dad, I mean this in such a nice way. You're way too involved in my life.
Why? Because I know when your classes are?
Yeah. My friend Brandy, she's convinced her parents don't even know where she's going to college. Her dad keeps asking her how Amherst is.
Nice. I'm gonna work my way up to that level of negligence. Listen to me about yesterday.
I don't want to talk about it.
Why not?
Because you'll talk, and I'll listen, and time will pass, and I'll get older and older, and in the end, I'll be like 40, and you'll be right.
Well, actually, I think you were right.
About what?
About the civil disobedience that I engaged in when I was your age. It was an extraordinary time, but in the end, we shouldn't have stopped those people from speaking. So I guess yesterday, I must have sounded a bit bogus.
Wow, I'm right. What a weird feeling.
Well, I just want you to benefit from my mistakes so you can go off and make mistakes on your own.
Dad, stopping this nut Dumont from speaking at Chadwick isn't a mistake. This is the man that condones bombing abortion clinics.
Condones?
Oh, correction. Speaks rapturously about God's army fighting the baby killers and then doesn't condemn the resulting bombs. I saw people physically and verbally harassing women at the local clinic yesterday. Dumont encourages that kind of thing.
I'm not saying that he should be nominated for a Nobel Prize. I am saying...
Dad, you always taught me to take action for what I believe in, and I believe in this. These are extraordinary times, too. Dumont is as dangerous to us as Robert McNamara was to you.
Morning, Max. I just had the most chilling encounter with Thornhill.
What happened?
He was happy. He even said I looked well turned out today.
Well, you do look reasonably well turned out today.
Oh, thank you, Max. That's very meaningful. Like it would have killed him to say stunning.
You look stunning today, Andrea.
Shut up. I liked him better when he was morose and convinced that the whole world's against him.
I think sponsoring Dumont has given him a whole new lease on life.
Oh, well, it is appalling that the guy's actually showing up here.
I don't think so. He's got provocative ideas. Isn't it healthy to have another point of view heard on our fair campus?
Max, you take such delight in playing devil's advocate that sometimes I think you must actually be the devil.
I just think he has a right to speak.
I am very well aware of his constitutional rights. Thank you very much. What I object to is the fact that we invited him here.
We have not invited him anywhere.
He is
The
our guest,
Conservative
and
Club has
having been
him.
invited to several campuses because of my books,
Congratulations, by the way, on your vast body of work.
I just want to say that it is an honor to be invited to speak somewhere. So why are we honoring him, a right-wing extremist?
We are not honoring him. We are honoring the Bill of Rights.
Oh, Max! The guy is a vitriolic, bigoted instigator who thinks that the Bill of Rights only applies to people who think like he does.
I don't like the way you do about him.
Oh, God! You are infuriating.
The so-called tension on campus is simply the electrical energy generated by the exchange of ideas. I, for one, think that's refreshing.
Well, you're the only one who thinks it's refreshing.
Not so fast, Rose.
Okay. First order of business. Some of you are not properly displaying your parking permits.
Uh-oh, they're on to us.
Cars without permits will be towed away and compressed into 3-foot cubes with their drivers inside.
I never received my permit.
Maybe that's because you're spending too much time getting permits for the Young Conservative Club.
Yeah, it must take a lot of time looking under rocks to find an insect like Dumont.
Doyle Dumont is a legitimate political figure. He speaks his mind.
Which is really scary.
And let's face it, it's a big country. He speaks for a lot of people.
A lot of people who should know better.
What a dismal load of paternalistic mumbo-jumbo. Andrea, you should know better.
I do know better than to fall for Dumont's faux populist cant. He is J. Lincoln Rockwell in a more attractive package.
Okay. Man is entitled to his opinion. End of story. We're talking about parking permits.
And I didn't get mine, which I find highly suspicious in these troubled times. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
Haven't you done enough by bringing Dumont to Chadwick?
Does everyone who comes to this college have to be so fashionably left of center?
It's not a matter of liberal conservative. This guy is nasty. He's made a name for himself, spreading unconscionable, inflammatory, reprehensible...
May I ask about what? Or would the facts just muddy the waters?
Where do we begin? He's a passionate opponent of women's rights, gay rights, choice, immigration.
Immigration. Oh, you think this is a good time to open our borders to everyone with their bombs and their anthrax? Welcome to the USA. Train at our flight schools. Join our communities. We're nice, we're rich, and we're really stupid.
Do you really think the students should be exposed to that kind of closed-minded...
Can't we at least give our students credit for having minds of their own?
You're the one sponsoring this zealot, Walt. You have to take responsibility.
And it's not too late to stop it.
Walt, you have to see Priscilla in the administration building and take care of this today.
Well, that is the last straw. I refuse to be bullied and threatened by you or anyone else, Max. I am standing behind Doyle Dumont 100%, as a matter of principle. And I suggest the rest of you take a moment to reflect upon the sacred rights upon which this country is founded.
I was talking about the parking permit.
Oh.
You have to remember that in 1947, the writers who became the Hollywood 10 were virgins. The friendly and unfriendly witnesses of the 1950s hadn't happened yet. The blacklist hadn't happened yet. So these guys didn't have a clue what was going to happen to them. Now, if you believed that the government of the United States did not have the right to ask your political affiliations, and if you knew that you were going to be hauled up before the House Un-American Activities Committee, what would you do?
Their only choice would be to stand behind the First or Fifth Amendments. Since taking the Fifth would give the appearance of guilt, the First would be the only way to fly.
That's exactly right. They unanimously decided to stand behind their constitutional right of free speech and assembly. Even with the specter of Soviet communism hovering over the whole country, the 10 believed that they would be protected by the First Amendment, which makes sense because it's their constitutional right. So what happened?
They went to jail for contempt. And when they came out, they were blacklisted by the studios, and it destroyed their careers, lives, and families.
Which means that situations occur every day that test the limits of the Constitution, and sometimes the Constitution withstands that pressure, but sometimes it fails.
Now you get a taste of what this guy's all about.
Back in the 70s, women were encouraged to hold off on marriage and children. They were told that it was important to have a job to achieve financial independence.
Well, isn't that a woman's right?
Oh, it may be. But ever since the feminazis encouraged women to enter the workforce, the murder of unborn children has increased exponentially. When women do marry, if they marry, they discover they can't get pregnant without doctors. If they do have children, they surrender them to the care of strangers. Men are optional. Home life's immaterial. Now, on whose behalf has all this been done? The child? Hardly. The husband? No. The women? Well, has college made them happy? Have careers made women happy?
You're not suggesting that...
I'm suggesting that America's decline began at the same time that women left their homes in search of someone else's notion of fulfillment. The feminist agenda has given us an America where women have abandoned their children to drugs, moral relativism, and sexual perversion. That's what I'm...
Okay. Classic anti-women rights life or propaganda.
Well, I may not agree with everything he says, but I don't hear anything that precludes his speaking at Chadwick.
Okay, now this is getting surreal. I gotta go.
Wait a minute. You were missing my point. Let's watch it again and we'll discuss it.
Watch this again. I'd rather slit my wrists.
There is nothing that this guy is saying that millions of Americans don't agree with.
So I guess I won't be getting any help from you.
To stop this bozo from speaking? No.
Congratulations. You went from being a radical to a supporter of the patriarchy. Well, this battle isn't over. Not by a long shot.
And what battle is that?
The one I'm about to escalate. With or without you.
Stop Dumont, please sign the petition. Thanks.
Sign our petition. Stop Dumont from speaking.
Sign the petition.
How's it going?
Almost 60 signatures so far.
60. Hey, in how long?
Since 10 o'clock, stop Dumont.
It almost breaks my record.
This isn't a contest, Dad. Hi, stop Dumont.
I can still admire your effectiveness.
Hey.
One political activist to another.
I'm not doing this for your approval. Stop Dumont. Hey.
Doesn't mean I don't approve.
Of what I'm fighting for?
That you're fighting. Your
Stop
cause.
You know, Dad, I think I could be even more... Hi, stop Dumont. More effective if you weren't... Hi.
If I were not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi. Stop Dumont.
You can see I'm in the way.
Stop Dumont.
See you later. Good luck.
Bye. I don't need luck. I've got something more important. Campus support.
Max.
Sign our
Max,
petition.
Max.
Stop Dumont from speaking.
I look at Nell and I see you. It's deja vu all over again.
She's a real Bickford, isn't she?
That serves you right for teaching her to have a mind.
You're enjoying this a bit too much, Judith.
And who wouldn't, seeing you and your progeny squared off, and you, of all people, playing the conservative.
Sign our petition. Stop Dumont from speaking. If we don't stop Dumont, who will? Sign the petition. Make your voices heard. Sign the petition. Make your voices heard. It's important. Sign the petition. Stop Dumont from speaking on campus.
I was a student of your dad's before I was a professor here. He was a great teacher.
Is that why you became a teacher? Because you liked my dad?
Well, partly. But you ask good questions.
Do you think girls mature faster than boys?
Yes, I do think that women tend to mature more quickly than men. They're more verbal, they put feelings into words more quickly, so they tend to seem to know themselves better earlier.
Well, that's harder on boys. I mean, they always feel like they're trying to catch up. Although men can lift heavier things.
True.
What kind of feelings do women have?
Usually 2 or 3 or 4 feelings all at once.
Does it hurt?
Yes, it can. You know, you ought to have your own talk show, Lester. You tend to have a way of just cutting right through to what people need to talk about. Hey, do you like Rolos? I'm trying to quit smoking.
Why did you start smoking?
Ugh, bad judgment. Everybody in college was smoking. Don't start. That's the main thing. Here, look at this.
These women are smoking in 1922. Was smoking a right women fought for?
They wanted to do everything the men did.
Even the dumb stuff?
Look here. In 1967, an actual footnote in history, the day that Anne Brown flat out refused to make her boss a cup of coffee.
Good for her. What do you like in a man?
Beg pardon?
Well, are looks important? Eye color, hair color, height?
Well, yes, they're important. But things like a sense of humor, honesty, compassion, they mean even more. What is this assignment about, anyway?
Working women. I didn't know where I was gonna find one. I don't have one at home.
That's tough, I know. Hey, you know, my mom wasn't around when I was a kid either.
Did your mom die?
No, she left me. There were things that she wanted more than being a wife and a mother. See, she couldn't find a good way to both work and be at home.
Is that a problem for you?
Oh, well, I'm not married, and I don't have children. Although I hope that I find a better way to handle it if I ever do have kids.
To the Anne Langley chapter of Chadwick's Conservative Club.
Yeah. Here.
Well, now, is it the light in here, or have I just stepped into heaven? Because I don't think I've ever seen 7 more beautiful young ladies in my entire life. As a gentleman from Virginia and a lifelong admirer of the fairer sex, I was dumbstruck to learn that Anne Langley began this far-thinking and politically active organization when she was a mere slip of 17. When other young ladies were having their nails done or getting their hair permed, Anne Langley was laying the foundation for intelligent thinking by young women for generations to come.
Of all the organizations on campus, the Conservative Club boasts the most consistent attendance by members and the largest number of publications.
Oh, Jean, tell Mr. Dumont about the newsletter we have on the internet.
The Straight Arrow is an internet resource which connects the Chadwick community with the larger conservative organizations worldwide. Typically, we post topical articles such as Dems and Republicans. Is there really a difference?
Short a couple of candidates, I haven't been able to make a distinction for the last 4 elections.
Well, it's absurd they even call this two-party system a democracy. Now, here is the challenge for your generation. It's inevitable that a third party will arise. The question is whether it will be some do-nothing progressive party or something truly radical, adhering to the noble standards upon which this country was founded.
Like slavery, child labor, and denying women's suffrage.
I don't believe we've been introduced.
Gwen Kiefer. We have a couple of questions for the great Mr. Dumont.
Oh, I'd be delighted to answer any and all queries.
Do you recall addressing a crowd in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on April 16th, 1993?
Well, sometimes I can't even remember what I had for supper last night.
It says here that you refer to abortion clinics, calling them abortuaries.
I don't recall saying that.
Is this leading anywhere, Miss Bickford?
One man who attended the rally was caught planting a bomb at an abortion clinic in Baton Rouge a week later. He is quoted as saying that he was inspired by you.
And you accept the words of a sociopath? That makes no sense at all.
You deny that that kind of mind-controlling rhetoric contributed to this yahoo's behavior.
Well, now, that's the problem with yahoos, as you call them. You can't control them. Charles Manson thought he was receiving secret messages from the Beatles. Was that John and Paul's fault? I challenge you to show me any evidence directly connecting an act of violence to anything that I have ever said.
Had Mr. Dumont done anything wrong, he would have been indicted on a criminal charge.
And I haven't.
Doesn't mean it isn't true.
What gives you the right to come in here and accuse a man of Mr. Dumont's stature?
He's a reactionary ideologue at best.
This is all about hate speech.
You come in here spewing hostility and practically attack this man that you don't even know, and you have the nerve to talk to him about hate speech.
Yeah, you're quite right, Jean, but I think we should all show a little respect, chill out, as you say, and go home.
Not until he does.
Actually, I was invited.
Unlike you lefty freaks.
Who you calling freak, you Nazi bitch?
Hey! Look out now! Get you!
Well, I hope we're not going to make a habit out of this.
Thanks for springing me, Dad.
The getaway car is around the corner, kiddo.
This isn't a joke.
Well, I'm struggling to find the joke in it, okay? Because if I don't, I'll be very, very angry.
We didn't go there to be violent. They started it like they always do.
Any kind of violence is non-productive. Political action is about patience.
You know, my whole life I've had to listen to how you chained yourself to this building, how you marched on that building, and how you single-handedly stopped the Vietnam War.
Now is not then. This is not that. You are not me. Get in the car. Even though they dropped the charges against her, it's still serious business.
Is Nell going to jail?
She's already been in jail.
I mean real jail, like Oz.
Oz is a TV show.
Yeah, but it's a real TV show.
Lester, I don't know which one of us is more confused.
You were in jail. What was it like?
By the way, when did you see Oz?
Are you trying to censor my right to watch?
You're 12 years old.
You used to say that...
Used to say? Everyone is telling me what I used to say and using it against me.
Well, that proves you were right.
Then, not now.
You used to say if I was old enough to understand, I was old enough to watch.
That's what worries me, that you're old enough to understand. You know, when I was your age, the sexiest thing I ever saw was a bra ad in the Sears catalog.
Like Victoria's Secret?
Nothing like Victoria's Secret.
So, what was jail like?
The jails I was in were nothing like Oz. They were a lot more peaceful. There was nobody there to bother me with their problems, and there were no papers to write, and it was kind of like recess.
Boring.
Back in the 60s, jails were a lot more fun.
With their sing-alongs and holding hands.
Yeah. You want me to give you a verse of If I Had a Hammer?
Why don't they ever sing If I Had a Screwdriver? You can do a lot more with a screwdriver.
Max, you did a good job.
I did? What? What'd I do? Where?
With Lester. He is a bright and engaging boy. You know, I've said hello to him before. I've seen him in your office, but I have never really sat down and had a conversation with him. Yesterday, I spent the most provocative hour with him.
Provocative? Mm-hmm. Better downgrade what that kid is eating for breakfast.
He asked me some questions that were so searching.
Like what?
Like who I am and why I do what I do. I mean, he is trying to understand so much.
Wait. You have an eyelash.
Thanks. It looks like you.
He likes women. He is like me.
Say no! Say no to the Dumont Show! Say no! Say no! Say no to the Dumont Show! Say no! Say no! Say no to the Dumont Show! Say no! Say no! Don't cross the picket line! Excuse me, you're supporting racism! You're supporting sexism! You're supporting anti-Semitism! Just go! Tighten up! Tighten up! Say no!
You can't come through, Dad.
Are you shutting down the administration building?
That's right.
So no one can speak.
Go ahead, speak. No one's stopping you.
We're fighting a good fight, Dad.
By shutting down the opposition?
At Columbia, protesters took over the campus. At
Berkeley, we had debates, we had sit-ins, and we stopped a war.
After 10 years, and then when Vietnam was over, the movement shut down.
And revolution became an advertising slogan.
Dad, the issues are too serious for halfway measures.
The issues are too serious to trash the Constitution. Judith, come here. Are you letting people out?
People can leave, they just can't go in.
Excuse me.
I just called Thornhill. He's going to meet us at your office. We need to talk.
At my office. Are you shutting down the American Studies Department?
Not yet, but it's a good idea.
Say no! Say no! Say no to the...
I'm considering canceling Dumont's speech. The mayor called.
The campus isn't public property. The mayor has
Nothing to do with the decision. If we can contain it on campus, he's got no problem. But if things get out of hand and spill into town as they did last night, he's ready to prosecute every student involved. I have a duty to the school.
Yes, to let the students hear more than one point of view.
I agree. But last night was enough to prove that Dumont's speech could create an even worse incident.
And if it were a leftist speaker?
If there were the same kind of outrage.
Outrage?
I'd have the same dilemma.
But there wouldn't be the same kind of outrage. Because on a liberal campus...
That has nothing to do with it.
Oh, I think it does, Judith. I never would have invited Dumont to speak at this campus, but he was invited. You're worried about what happens if he speaks. We're worried about what happens if he doesn't.
So am I.
Regardless of what happened last night, Judith, the Constitution...
Don't lecture me on the Constitution. I was a constitutional scholar, as you recall. To put it simply, How can we guarantee that Dumont's speech won't cause a riot and one of our students won't get hurt?
All I'm saying is that we have a campus code.
Which allows a radical like that girl, Gwen Kiefer.
That girl, Gwen Kiefer, is a woman, and she's not a radical.
She's a Marxist.
Today, that's like being called a Whig.
Are you comparing Whigs
Okay,
and...
okay. She is a radical, if by radical you mean someone who goes to the root of something, from the Latin radix. Amo amasamat, baby, huh? Miss Finney's Latin class, Al Smith High School, 4 years.
Ardentis fortuna juvat. Fortune fights for the bold. Professor Baird's Latin class, Westminster, 6 years.
I'd quote something from Catullus, but I don't think I could bear to see Professor Thornhill blush.
Try me.
What does this have to do with Dumont?
Dumont's admittedly a little extreme, but...
For you to admit he's a little extreme is like saying Napoleon was a little ambitious.
But so is half the Senate half the time.
Yes?
And I agree with some of his views.
Well, see, there's your problem. I don't know how you can agree with the thing that Dumont has to say.
I think we're getting a little bit off the subject.
Which is that the campus code allows Gwen to speak her mind, but abridges the right of conservatives to speak their mind. Ergo, it abridges my right to speak my mind.
About what? The campus code prohibits hate speech.
You suggesting that conservative speech is hate speech?
No, I'm not suggesting it. Walt is.
I most certainly am not suggesting anything of the kind.
Then what were you suggesting, Walt?
Maybe what he's saying is one man's hate speech is another man's opinion.
What?
Let him speak.
No, I'm going to need an example for this one.
First of all, Walt did not say anything.
Max, I don't need you to defend me.
Oh, he's not defending you. He's defending the principal.
I'm just trying to make a distinction between the two.
What? Between a racial slur and an opinion on natural rhythm? Between anti-Semitism and how clever Jews are in business?
Do you really think that's what I'm talking about?
All I mean...
One person's hate speech is another person's opinion.
I think we'd all like a little clarification here, Rex.
Okay, how about this? If someone on campus points out that the white race makes up only 13% of the world's population...
See? Right there. You're back into race.
Oh, Rex was stating a fact.
And behind that fact...
is prejudice.
No!
Why don't we just hear what road Rex is going down on this one?
He made a racist statement.
No! He made a statement about population pattern.
You were getting into immigration, weren't you? I mean, that was the point.
My point is that even here, even among friends...
Another risky assumption.
We're not friends?
I don't have bigots for friends.
Are you calling me a bigot?
Or me?
I'm calling you...
Will you listen to us? We can't even have a civil conversation. I only heard Rex state a fact. And he didn't have his say. You just prejudged him.
Well, we sure as hell didn't prejudge Dumont.
Who came to spew his hate in our community.
How do you know what he's gonna say?
Oh, come on, Walt. Do you think he had a conversion on the road to Chadwick?
Whatever he's going to say.
He has the right to say it.
Andrea.
I can't believe you've gone over to the enemy.
I'm not the enemy.
Dumont is the enemy.
And he would never fight for your freedom of speech.
Just because he wouldn't doesn't mean that shouldn't. I mean, if it's right, it's right. Right?
I never expected you to change your mind.
I didn't do it for you.
I know that. I'm just proud of you.
That sounds condescending.
That wasn't my intention. It's just that you and I fight a lot about a lot of things, and sometimes I think we're just fighting for the sake of fighting.
Ah, so you're proud of you for bringing me around to your side.
I'm proud of us for defending the Constitution.
Like Adams and Jefferson.
More like Hamilton and Burr.
Who gets to shoot who? Wow. Nell is really riled up about all this.
Yeah, it seems. Boy, it sure brought out her political side. Who knew?
Does that really surprise you?
A little. She seems so fierce and committed and determined.
Well, now you know what it's like to deal with you. Fun, huh?
Actually, it is. Although I wish she was defending the First Amendment and not attacking it.
And I'm sure that your parents wish that you were defending the U.S. rather than opposing, thanks, its policies in Vietnam, conscientiously or no.
True. Anyway, listen, thanks for tonight.
I said I didn't do it for you.
I know that. I was talking about cleaning up. You did that for me, didn't you?
Actually, no. I did that for the Constitution, too. Right to bear sponges.
Lester, you're not getting it. In Germany, they have laws against neo-Nazis.
But we're not in Germany.
So we should let neo-Nazis speak and run for office and take power.
If we don't, aren't we being a little hypocritical?
Lester, I think you're too young to understand.
I think Lester understands perfectly.
I know what you're gonna say.
You know what I'm gonna say, you know what Dumont's gonna say. What do you got, a crystal ball?
Come
What are you
on,
afraid of?
Not you or anything you could say.
What could I say?
You have this way of just twisting things and twisting words.
So I could fool you? So I could lie to you?
No.
Well, then what?
You're always right. You are always so right. And you make me wrong. But this once I wasn't wrong. You even told me I was right. I was doing what you told me to do. My whole life, I was doing what you told me to do. Fight injustice. Stand up for what I believe in. If someone says a racist joke, leave the room. If someone's being unjust, confront them. If someone is like Dumont, don't let him get away with it.
Nell.
I thought that you would be proud of me.
I am proud of you. I am proud of you. Fight me. As long as you believe you're right. Fight me.
I bet you made a lot of important decisions at this table.
I have. Just yesterday, I sat right here and decided what I wanted to have for lunch.
This is a very long table.
We could move a little closer to each other. Why don't I come to you? I was really excited that you wanted to talk to me about my job.
Well, I've never interviewed a president before.
Presidents are just like other people. We don't know any more about anything than anyone else.
Then why do people let them be president?
Well, somebody has to be.
When did you first decide that you wanted to be president of this college?
You know, it wasn't exactly a decision that I made. One thing kind of led to another. I was the dean at another university. One day, I was offered this job. I came to the campus, and I fell in love.
Did you ever want to be a farmer?
What?
You get everything you need for your assignment?
Don't be mad, Dad, but there wasn't officially an assignment.
What?
Mrs. Seacheck was talking about working women, and I realized I don't know anything about them. Women, I mean.
So this was reconnaissance?
Yeah.
Huh, you sly fox, you. Put her there. Okay, so what'd you find out?
Interesting stuff. They remember everything that ever happened to them, especially the stuff that hurts.
No kidding.
And they talk about it a lot.
Okay, come on, give it up. What'd they say? Tell me the rest.
I don't know, Dad. They were talking off the record.
Come on, Lester, you have to tell me what you found out. We have to stick together. Women stop telling guys things after a certain point, and then we have to figure everything out for ourselves.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Did they say anything about me?
Why would they say anything about you? We were talking about them. One thing I can tell you for sure, they smell a whole lot better than guys.
That's my boy. Good evening. The badge of honor that an American wears is one that celebrates the rights of those that we despise. All right, okay. There are rights and obligations that we should protect as fiercely as we can. And not just when we agree with what's being said, but when we do not agree. Now, the right to speak freely is being challenged here today. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last. That's a good thing. Maybe if you were strapped to your seats and you were forced to listen, maybe then I would choose that Mr. Dumont not be allowed to speak, but that's not the case. No one should have the right to keep you from speaking freely. Of course, no one should have the right to make you listen, either. Mr. Doyle Dumont.
You are looking at an exhausted man. I have been attacked by feminazis, tree huggers, and secular humanists for days now. A good American shouldn't have to walk through such fire, but I am up to the challenge. So few young women today, even here at Chadwick, believe in traditional family values. But I do not blame you, ladies, because you are products of a permissive society. A society that is allowing this great nation of ours to be hijacked. Hijacked just as surely as those planes were hijacked on September 11th. I know I'm not winning any popularity contests here. But if all of you walked out except one, my trip to Chadwick will have been worth it. This country is in danger, not just from foreign terrorists, but from the flood of human refuse that is changing our nation. We are losing our country, our land, and our children's heritage to those people whom we allowed in and who now think that America belongs to them. They have taken over our neighborhoods, our schools, our culture, our very lives. Well, I say to you, it is time to take America back from the terrorists within our own borders. Take it back from the Zionists who control our banks and our media and our schools and who determine our foreign policy, a foreign policy that has caused the World Trade Center to collapse like a twin tower of Babel. Take it back from the deviant homosexuals who are legally raising our children to be just like them, who are making a mockery of the institution of marriage. Take it back.
Did you have that in mind the whole time?
From the druggies and ghetto low-lifes, siphon off our tax dollars with their welfare checks. Take it back.
Stay tuned for scenes from our next episode.
2 weeks from tonight on Max Bickford.
We're being visited by News Rush. They're interviewing American Studies professors.
It's so easy to look like an idiot.
What we're talking about here is widespread cheating. Can I make sure no one ever sees this?
A lot of students are very attractive. I would even consider having an affair with one of them.
You're not going to wear that for the interview, are you?
Robert De Niro is the mob boss. Billy